Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barrocks here, the digital storyteller, and I'm super excited to be with you for another episode of Cinecut, where we will be talking about the Sony 1.8 85mm lens. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go! Woo! So on today's episode, I am talking about this beast of a lens, the 85mm 1.8 Sony lens. I feel like the 85mm focal length is such a beautiful focal length. It's one of those sort of lenses that every single cinematographer should have. It's beautiful, it provides you with a lot of bokeh. It's always a focal length that's super sharp. So that being said, the reason why I want to talk about this Sony 85mm 1.8 entry-level sort of lens was because I was in the market to upgrade from my Rokinon 1.4 85mm that I purchased probably about 10 years ago for about $250 to $300. And the reason why I want to upgrade was because I had switched from Canon to Sony, and with that switch from Canon to Sony, I was able to really utilize and leverage the autofocus and the IBIS, or in-body stabilization features that you could find in the Sony mirrorless camera body family. I've been really happy with the Sony native lenses that I've had so far. First, I purchased the Nifty 50 1.8 for about $200 to $300, and then I picked up the Sony 28mm prime lens f2.0, and that's been a great versatile lens. And because of the great performance from those two lenses, it really made me think about what was the next sort of evolution or the next step I was going to take in terms of investing in my Sony lens kit family. And that led me to this lens, which is the Sony 85mm 1.8. So for the next few minutes, I'm just gonna share with you the top 5 to 6 reasons why I think this particular lens is a really great investment for any cinematographer, digital storyteller, or photographer. The first reason why I believe the Sony 85mm 1.8 lens is a solid pickup is because it is amazingly sharp. I wasn't expecting it to be this sharp for an entry-level type of prime lens. Now, again, it doesn't have an entry-level price, but comparatively to its G Master counterpart, and for that lesser price tag, I believe you're getting comparable performance, if not maybe a step down or a step below what you would get with the 1.4 G Master option. What I noticed right away was the fact that the rendering of the skin tones, the way that it could pick up textures and patterns, I mean, really well. I could zoom into 200, 300, 400%, and I could get really in focus, very crispy and sharp images from this lens. I was super amazed at that. The bokeh for me is really nice on it. I don't think it's anything special, but it's not bad at all. It's actually really creamy. It's what I would expect from any 85mm lens. I'm not really obsessed with bokeh, but when it comes to having a really crisp outline of a person and then just having really creamy fall off, this lens doesn't disappoint. It really works really well, and it allows you to frame your subject in such a way that you can lock in on just them and just totally blow out the back. The second reason why I love the Sony 85mm 1.8 is because of the autofocus. This autofocus is so fast, it's so quick, it snaps right into focus. There is no breathing, there is no sort of searching. It is really fast when it comes to autofocus. As you can see with some of these examples, you don't have to worry about it searching. I find with this 85mm, when you're shooting stills with it and you're grabbing photos, it is just snappy, really snappy. It gets to the point of focus very quickly. Even if you have it on a wide sort of focus setting and you have a lot of different things happening at the same time, it is very snappy when you point the camera or point the lens to where you want it to focus. It's completely usable. I found this lens to be one of the best performing lenses when it came to autofocus that I've used within the Sony mirrorless camera lenses that I own and that I've tried. It's one of the best performing for sure. The other thing that I love about the Focus is that it's really quiet. I noticed that with some of the other lenses, let's say the 50mm 1.8 Sony Nifty 50, it is a little bit more noisy. You can hear the motors. With this 85mm, it's very quiet, and that's really important, especially when you are using it for video mode and you're using the autofocus in video mode, because obviously if you have mics, if you have booms, if somebody's talking, if it's picking up the motor of the actual lens, that's not a good thing. So the quiet autofocus motor is a big deal for me as a cinematographer. The third reason why I love this 85mm 1.8 Sony lens is because of the small profile. Let's take a look at this. This is the tiniest 85mm that I've used. And for me, that's very important because, again, I travel a lot. I travel all over the world, and when I'm traveling, I want to be able to travel with light lenses that can perform at a high level, because for me, it's all about being able to be mobile. It's all about being able to be flexible, not having to bring a ton of gear, but at the end of the day, being able to still perform at a high level. And this particular lens, especially with the size, the weight, and the design, you really can't go wrong with this particular lens, especially when it comes to the design, the profile, and the weight, which is something that's really important to me. And not only just to me, but to a lot of people. I mean, as camera bodies are getting smaller, lenses should get smaller in theory as well. All of those mirrorless cameras are just as big or a little bit smaller than this lens and work really well just throwing it in a backpack or in a carry-on bag. The fourth reason why I love this Sony 85mm 1.8 is because of the price point. Now hear me out. Now I paid about $750 plus taxes, so it came up to about $840 Canadian for this lens. Now you may say, you know what, this is not really an entry-level lens. But when you really break down what you get for that price, it's really good. Now you're getting an 85mm 1.8 lens that is a fraction of the size of most 85mm lenses. It can work natively with your Sony mirrorless cameras like the A7 III I'm shooting on. It works really well with the autofocusing on all of the mirrorless cameras. It allows you to do manual focus. It's tack sharp. It gives you great bokeh and great color rendering. For under $1,000 to get a lens like this is a pretty good deal. I'm just saying. If you're like me, where you're a professional digital storyteller and you are getting paid to tell digital stories and to work with brands and to shoot weddings and live events, both with video and photography, $800 for a really good solid tool that's going to make your work look even better is well worth it. And I think that's the way I look at it. Is it for somebody that just bought a camera for the first time and spending $2,000 on a camera body is a lot of money? Maybe this is not the best lens for you. Maybe you should buy the Rokinon for, you know, $200. Now it's manual focus, but it'll get you the type of quality that you need. But for me, a professional photographer and cinematographer and really digital storyteller, this solves a lot of my problems. I can use this for video, I can use this for photos, and it's really great for traveling. So I think that this price is fair considering the bang for your buck and all of the features I'm getting for this price. Now, the one area that I think Sony got really wrong with this lens and with other lenses that are a part of their mirrorless ecosystem or their E-mount ecosystem is the focus ring. This focus ring, if you're not using it in autofocus mode, is pretty much useless. It's electronic focusing And if you're manually focusing, it takes a while for it to really respond properly to the camera. I think that the only time that it's useful is if you're using it in really ultra slow-mo modes, like the 120 frames per second or 60 frames per second, and you're quickly trying to focus, or you're kind of racking focus slowly, then it works really well and it's a lot more forgiving. But that's the one knock on this lens, is that the manual focus really is terrible. Well, that ends another episode of Cinecut with your host, me, Tristan Barrocks. I hope you learned something and you laughed out loud too. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. And if you want to learn more about digital storytelling using video and photography to tell people stories, please consider subscribing to my channel. Until the next time, peace. Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barrocks here, the Digital Storyteller. And I'm super excited that you took the time to watch one of my videos. I really appreciate it. If you don't mind liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos, I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Peace.